We have our second talker up, so we are moving on to covering building healthy, high-performing organizations, and we have Saga Performance's Satu Ahlman here. Round of applause, everyone.
Thank you very much. The microphones. Let's talk healthy, high-performing organizations. How many of you right now feel like they are high performers? Hands up. Maybe not after the party yesterday, but in general. Let's say not today, but in general. Yeah, high performers out there. Perfect. How many of you consider that your organizations are high-performing organizations? Yeah, some. All right, good, good. How to define high performance? That could be also a starting question. What do we actually even mean? And you could have, well, the traditional way of looking into high performance saying, okay, it's a lot about action, doing, execution, grinding on the top level 100% of the time throughout your career, all over the organization. Is that the right definition? I'm not going to say yes or no. That could be one definition. Now, during this talk, we're going to look into how could we possibly redefine and redesign the concept of high performance, what it is for you as individuals, and what it could be for your organizations and for your teams. My name is Satu Ahlman. I'm the founder of Saga Performance. I work with leadership, culture, and performance. I work as an executive advisor for startups, growth companies, broader, not just gaming, but also tech, IT, financial services, professional services. That's basically my background. I've always been helping companies to become the best versions of themselves, and individuals as well. So I work with private clients and with organizations with a systems approach, combining data, science, and behavior modifications through sparring and coaching to enable growth, enable sustainable, healthy, high performance. An important question to ask, and again, I'm not going to give you the perfect answer, but reflect on this. What is your personal relation to change? Because change has a lot to do with performance. Both are action. And one cannot say that today I'm not going to change, because change happens all the time, everywhere, whether we like it or not. We could have a culture of rapid change. We could have willingness to change. A lot of people, especially I've seen in the gaming industry and fast-moving organizations in general, have a lot of people who love change. And they say, I could not work in an organization where things go slow or there's no change or development happening, hence I'm here. But then again, if you are forced to change, how nice is that? So oftentimes we say, yeah, we love change, but then if someone is pinpointing at you, you need to change your attitude, my friend, or your behavior. Like, me? What? I don't like that anymore. But yeah, I can force the change upon you because then you do the work. So good to reflect on. Because it's also something that strains us, it stresses us. Again, whether we think we are stressed or we don't even are aware of that, the more new we create, the faster we go, the more exciting things are, the more hectic our environment is, the more exhausting it slowly becomes, or even fast. And even if we have a bunch of people in our organization who say, we love change, we love the development, we love working hard, I'm ready to do everything, and we grow and it's going well, everything is positive, we are still affecting ourselves. Our system is getting affected by the constant work and the change that is happening. Our brain, our capacity, our body, physical, mental, cognitive. So this is the starting point. We got to be aware of what is happening to us. And organizations need to understand what is happening to the people who are there doing their best on an everyday basis. What is the toll that our bodies and brains are taking? So that's my journey. My mission with my company is to educate and spread the knowledge of the true what I believe is the healthy way of performing on the top level. So what needs to be done in many cases is redefining and redesigning high performance. This is not me saying, you see who it is, Darwin. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the ones most adaptable to change. And again, we can reflect on that. I like to bring this up because adaptation to change and readiness to change, and if we just said change is happening all the time, yeah, we need to find a way to stay resilient in turbulent times. We need to be able to adapt to the changing world, whether we are in charge of the change or not. So if we then take the next step to one of my favorite topics, resilience. Resilient high-performing organizations. What is that then? A very trendy word right now, resilience. But a lot of people, similarly to high performance, they don't really know how to define it. And I would say resilience actually is a very complex thing. And I'm coming to that a little bit later on. But I want to plant the seed now that we need to start focusing on creating something that is resilient. And you got to walk the talk. If you're a leader, and you could be the leader without the C-level title or the manager or management title, every one of us can be leaders. We need to take the responsibility and walk the talk. We got to set the example on how we lead ourselves first. Then can we only expect others to be able to lead themselves. Now, is the solution to all this, and especially now, coming to your industry, the gaming, to build more structure and control? How many of you, again, hands up, have a feeling that control could have a negative vibe to it? All right, quite many hands. Yeah. How about structure? Similar? Not that much. Okay, so structure we could live with, but control immediately, why are you controlling me? And I'm going to say that actually, structure and control could be exactly what we need. We just need to turn it into a positive. Because how do we actually enable performance? And what is happening if we're not considering what I'm going to be talking about? If we're not taking into consideration this model that I'm going to show you and the questions that are related to that. The questions are super simple. And these are questions or topics that you should be actually, as an individual, looking into each and every day when you go to work. Do I have still the meaning of why I'm doing this, what I'm doing? Do I know why what am I contributing with when I go to work? How am I being measured against the vision that we are going towards, the purpose? Do I have the motivation, the willingness to do my work in the best way possible? And do I have the skills, the tools, the processes, the structure to do my work the best way possible? And if your answers are yes, 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 if you're thinking about right now, would you say yes to all of these three? If yes, that's great. A lot of times when we look into organizations and when I work with our clients, we're not going to get yes, yes, yes if we ask 100 people. And that's where we need to start solving the issues. And here, if we think about from an organizational point of view, this is exactly how the meaning, willingness, and ability links to the organization. So up there, we have the purpose. We need to have the reason why the organization exists even. Where are we headed? But it should be also aligned to your individual purpose, because otherwise, if you're not looking within, you're going to be disconnected. Then strategy should be giving you and the organization the answer of the roadmap, meaning the culture is translated into values, but also translated into your motivation. It is about the behavioral principles, how we as a team work together, but how we also then get connected and engaged. Structure, the tools, the techniques, the processes, the KPIs that we have in our organization, equally important. All of these talk with each other and are connected. So if you take one part away, you cannot expect to have 100% daily performance of an organization, individual, or a team, or a department. So structure is also about education skills. So if you, again, go back to meaning, willingness, ability, and think about yourself. If I would say, no, I'm not 100% sure I have the ability, could it be solved with me getting a new education, a course, skills? Or is it about me not having clear objectives, KPIs? Or is it something else? Is it the organization that is lacking structure, actually? A lot of startups battle with that. We don't have the time to build steady processes because we're growing so fast. The willingness, am I suddenly lacking motivation to do my work? Where does that come from? Why? Am I not connected to the people? Is there a lack of trust? And so on. And a meaning. Yeah, I love the work that I do. I have the skills. But I don't really see the point. What is my contribution here? So we, as leaders, if you're in a position where you're leading a team or a bunch of people, you're going to make sure that each and every one of the people have the answer to these questions. And use this, I strongly recommend, use this kind of a model in your dialogues. Be very open about it. We need us to answer these questions. As a team, do we have the meaning, willingness, ability? But also on an individual base, do you have the meaning, willingness, and ability to do what it takes? So in that sense, I would go back and say, yeah, structure and even control are actually beneficial. But resilience and self-leadership are in the core of today's leadership. But that we know, because a lot of publications, media is talking about learn to be more resilient, learn to lead yourself. So many companies contacted me when the pandemic started and started asking me, okay, can you come here and teach our people how to lead themselves? Because now they're sitting at home and we have no control. I said, okay, well, yeah, we could, but I'm not sure if I'm just the person who is coming there to solve this. You need to take the responsibility and walk the talk. You got to lead yourselves first. So how do we build the structure and the playground for the people to be able to lead themselves? And resilience, it's not just the willpower. Many times I hear it's about going through the brick wall when times get tough. That I just use my willpower and then it's going to be all good. But at the end of the day, I feel really tired and stressed. So it's not that. It's part of it, yes, but it's so much more. And I said earlier that I like to use, or we like to use, a lot of data and science-backed tools whenever possible. So I want to just introduce you to one of them, which is a psychometric assessment tool, measuring or assessing your resilience. And this can be used for teams and individuals and private persons as well, as I like to do with my clients. Now, why I'm going to show you this is I mentioned that I feel that resilience is very complex. This is the result that one could get based on the assessment once they have done that. So you see there are multiple layers. Not going to deep dive into the results, but here on the right you can see the core concepts. And this is, by the way, by our partner Mind Matters, who is providing us with this tool. But the core here is assessing your health, your purpose, your problem solving, your perseverance, your composure, the emotions, relationships, and overall emotional executive balance. You can also see the subcategories around the circle there. Everything from sleep, your lifestyle, your decision-making, analytical thinking, problem-solving, creative insight, how optimistic you are, how are you in charge of your emotions, how are you actually expressing your emotions. All this has to do with resilience. And it's also good to understand that resilience is not a fact. If you are this resilient today, you could be something else in a week's time, because your surroundings affect your resilience as well. But this is a starting point for a journey, for self-awareness. Because self-awareness starts to help us in leading ourselves. If we don't look inside, it's going to be really difficult to lead ourselves, or lead even our performance in everyday life. So is the question about, instead of mindlessly grinding and doing the utmost and performing on the high gear, gas pedal, full on, or is it about mindful grinding? Learning how and when to push the pedal and when to pull the brake. And I think this is what is needed for us to sustain high performance in a longer period of time for individuals and organizations. But this needs education and also objective thinking, analysis. And that's why I again go back to data is nice if you have the access to it. And this is again one of our partners, FirstBeat, a great possibility to see how teams and individuals are really affected by stress, by high gear, crunch work, or just lifestyle. So what we measure here is everything from your heart rate variability. How do you recover? How do you sleep? How do you recover during the day, which is actually even more important than your sleep for most people? Do you take breaks? Do you do sports? Do you do too many sports? Do you actually get enough rest in the evenings before you go to sleep and all that? And now this is interesting from a leadership point of view as well, because you can see how your organization is doing anonymously, of course, but you can take a look into a department if you have a big enough organization, and you can see, okay, these guys who are working now 80 hours a week, they're suffering, or some of them are actually doing quite fine. But the important part here is that you don't want to do guesswork only, or only focus on subjective thinking. Like a lot of young people, now I'm going to categorize in that sense because I've been there as well, feel that they can cope with so much more. And that's why it easily happens that we have this kind of crunch culture. We work 80 hours and we feel like we can do it. It's fine. I can travel the world and I'm not affected by it. But we are. Physiologically, we are affected, even though we might not feel like that. And it is important to take the responsibility, both as an individual, but also as an organization, to look into the objective data and be proactive instead of having to react when things are already happening. People are leaving, on sick leave, burnouts, etc. So what is my message here? The cliche, work smarter, not harder. Yeah, sounds fun, but is it actually doable? We still have our targets to reach and we want to grow. And yeah, I work with growth companies. It goes fast. And still I say that, yeah, we can probably work smarter and save some of those hours. Because if we focus on building the base, which means building the playground for people to feel safe. Even the most creative people need more structure than they actually understand, because then once you have the playground, you're not running everywhere, you're actually quite safe. You know, okay, this is where I can be as creative as I want to, but I don't have to go there and spend a lot of time in the wrong place at the wrong time. So that creates space. Space for the right type of work at the right time. And the feeling of being in charge. Again, self-awareness starts the journey, and you start feeling much more in charge of your own work and your own life. And those create success. I added the commercial success because, of course, we are here to make money, but it's also success for the individual, for your life. Feeling good about what you're doing. And, yeah, also the bottom line. Leaders got to work the talk. Now, I said leaders, you don't have to have the title to be the leader, but I still think that a lot of times we require a top-down approach. And I want to send this message to the companies out there, especially in this field of business, that if you're in the stage that you're growing, you're getting investments, you're getting money in, try to focus on doing the baseline work before the money comes in, because I've seen it happen many times, that when the money comes in, then you're already running. And then you don't have the time, because then everyone is running here and there, using the money, which you should be doing, but you forgot about putting the basics in place, the culture and the values and everything that will support you doing that work. So early on, you don't have to invest a lot of money into this, but you just need to get people thinking in terms of what is really the right type of high performance. how do we build that playground? What does it look for us? What are the structures that we need to have in place? What are the set of rules, the codes of conduct, the principles? And do that work together or get some help. But you need to get started. And you need to get people to talk about it, redefining, redesigning what high performance means for you. So now, I would like to ask you to turn to your friend or new friend and with this question, what is one action that you can take with you based on this talk? What can you do when you go back to work? What can you do more, differently, less, based on this topic? And then I might ask one of you if there's someone who really wants to share. But yeah, 30 seconds, turn to your friend. All right. 30 seconds more or less has gone. Time flies. Not sure if it was 30, maybe it was a minute or a little bit less. Who wants to share? Is there someone brave enough to say, yes, there is? What did you discuss? What is your takeaway? Let's put it that way. Willpower bank. Awesome. I would love to hear more. But yes, that's a great thing to do. Anyone else who wants to share? Shy people out there, that's fine. The most important thing is that you plant a seed and you start working on that. I know that we have some time if you have any questions, because I'm going to wrap things up now just by saying, like, I certainly hope that this planted a seed for you to take a new look into what high performance means for you as an individual and hopefully also for your organizations. So if there are any questions, feel free to jump to it.
That was amazing. Thank you. Yeah, let's go to questions. Are there any questions? At the front?
Morning. Thanks for the presentation. I have a question from my personal life, like just happening right now. I bought this Garmin watch like 2 months ago, and they have this amazing function of tracking your stress, as just what you're showing. And I found out that having a meal is a stress. Going for a walk is a stress. And all that stuff, because, like, you know, life is stressful. And of course, I try to mitigate by kind of like free activities and work, and of course, because the personal life affects the work, but I'm not happy what I'm seeing. I would prefer not to know that everything is so stressful, that it's so much energy left for work, you know. And maybe there is a way to, like, for slower getting into this topic, because, like, too much data is usually overwhelming.
Yes.
And, you know, like, having a meal is a big stress. And that's why I eat 1 time per day, actually.
Oh.
Anyway,
yeah.
What's your opinion on, like, you know, because life is full of stress, and if we all know that we are like stressful 24/7, this will affect the performance.
I love the fact that you brought this up because it's super important, and I've heard this comment many times before when people get those trackers and they start seeing, like, this is so stressful and everything is red and oh my God, I can't handle this. And yeah, you're right. Everyone is stressing. the meal is stressing, your heart rate is getting elevated. So everything you do physically, even mentally, is burning calories and is stressing you. And you got to start there. You got to just understand that and accept the fact that stress exists for a reason, and it's actually good. We need stress to be able to cope, to get up from the bed. If we don't get that cortisol spike in the morning, we're not going to get out of bed. So yeah, we need that. By getting that data in, we should be able to make smarter decisions. Not those kind of decisions that, oh my God, I can't walk anymore, it's too stressful. No. Or I can't eat, it's stressing me out. Just understand how physiologically how your body works and how your mind works, and then start finding those triggers that when is it going overboard? You know, yeah. So be happy with the stress. Don't try to eliminate it. That's the key here. Yeah.
Any other questions from anyone? One sec.
Is there any literature on the topic of performance that you can recommend?
Plenty, I would say. I'm really bad with remembering book names, so you could get in touch after. But I would say there's sadly not that much literature in the way of understanding high performance as I would like to have it. I would say that there's a lot of articles coming out and short research pieces. So I would rather start Googling on those than to actually read a book, because I don't think there are very up-to-date books. Then there are a lot of books about stress and how that affects your capacity. There are books about breathing, which is a great tool. And I think every one of us could become most likely better in breathing and just like normal life, nose breathing instead of breathing through your mouth and so on. So.
Perfect. Another question?
Thank you for the talk. That was really great. My question is, how do you hire for high performance?
Great question again. And I think there the ball needs to come back to your table and asking you, what is it about high performance that you are after? Like if you're the traditional way of looking into high performance, you're asking people to run as fast as they can in the minimum amount of time, which I would not recommend. But if you want to have resilient high performers, you are actually able to utilize, like you do in recruitment, you do psychometric testing, you could actually do resilience testing, and you could have discussions around that to understand how do people reflect on these areas like you do when recruiting in a more traditional way. But these are new tools that you could use. And then understand what is the personal high performance opinion and reflections of that candidate. And is that matching the desired culture that you want to have or have in your organization?
Perfect. I think that rounds it up then. Thank you very much. Can we have a round of applause, everyone?
Thank you.
You